Ciao, mi amici. Hello, my friends. Okay, now I'm going to mix a whole wheat dough, and today I'm going to use the mixer so that you can see exactly how easy. So if I had to do 500 rolls, of course I'm not going to do it by hand. So you would use a 60-quart mixer. You'd use the dough hook, which we have here, and you'd mix it in big bulk. Divide it, proof it, and such, and everything that we're doing. So, but today we're going to do it with the small mixer, so I have this ready to go. So we're going to do our water first. Okay, we have our water. I have some, this is barley powder. This is malt powder. And so it's from barley. And so this is food for yeast. It gives crust color, and it adds some nice flavoring to your bread. So we're going to mix that in with our yeast. So we're going to sprinkle our yeast on top here. We have our milk powder. There's in there as well. So now the mixer is going to do all the work for us, right? So we're going to make sure we snap in our bowl in the back. Put it on our dough hook. Okay, so we're plugging our mixer, of course. There. So, turn this guy on, just so we can stir everything up. Alright? Then the next thing we'll add is just all your whole wheat flour. Now, the recipe in your book actually calls for all 100% whole wheat, but it's a little bit dense for your bread to be. So I split it in half. I did half and half. So we have half whole wheat and half bread flour. So that'll make it a lighter and a more tender bread. And so it won't be so dense. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off our mixer here. We're going to add all of our whole wheat flour. Mix this. And I only have it on speed, I think, between 2 or speed 3. So it's pulling together everything on the side. So remember, at this point, sugar will kill the yeast, or feeds the yeast. Salt kills the yeast. So I'm going to add those in just a bit. We've already added our flour. So I'm going to scrape this down a little. Make sure the sides and the bottom of the bowl mix really good. Okay, we have that mixed, that's good. Turn that back on. Okay. Very nice, it's mixing really well. Okay, so I'm going to add half of my bread flour. It will take all this recipe, actually, when you're using the mixer, it will take all the bread flour, which is great. I'm going to add my salt now. I'm going to add our sugar, our shortening, and you could replace this with butter, that's fine too. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a stir. Looks good. I'm going to throw in the rest of our bread flour, and we'll let this go about 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes. To our consistency, to see the texture we want for the dough. We want the dough to be the same way as our soft dough. We want it to have we want it to be tacky, not sticky, so that way we can roll them out and be really nice. So the bread's coming together. Looks good. So if we're, like I said, if we're doing this in bulk, we would be making a 60-quart dough hook, same exact thing, throw everything in. Some recipes with instant yeast, you can actually throw everything together into the bowl, but I still like to dissolve the yeast first, especially when you're using instant yeast, the beads. Sometimes all of it doesn't dissolve, and then you end up with little bits of burnt spots on your bread, and that's because you didn't dissolve your yeast first. So even though the instant calls for, it says you can throw it in your dough, I would still make sure that I dissolve it in the water. It's just easier that way. So with this dough, we're going to make some shapes. So once it's proofed, okay, this is our mixing. I've scaled the ingredients. This is mixing, of course, which we're over here on number 2. 3 is bulk fermentation. We're going to let it double in size as well. Punch it down. We're going to divide it into 2 ounces, and then I'm going to show you a few different shapes that you'll prepare for class. And then that way you can have some rolls to take home to your family. On the side here, I have a little bit of oil, and the reason I have that is I can put a touch of this into the side of the bowl, and it cleans the side of the bowl, and your dough comes right out. And because you have to oil your bowl and your dough anyway to let it proof so it doesn't stick. So it's just nice to do that. You don't have to. The dough might come out just perfectly, so you don't have to worry. But it should be, if you have it in case you want to use it. So let's talk about, so right now we're going into bulk fermentation, and that's where the yeast acts on the sugars and the starches, and that's where you get your carbon dioxide, and that's what makes it proof. The yeast proof double in size, so we're going to have to punch it to expel the yeast, redistribute the yeast, and strengthen the gluten with that as well. So you'll read that in your chapter 6 as well. I think chapter 6, yes, because that's the folding and punching. So we're going to be doing that as soon as our bread's done. So I'm looking at this, and it looks good. It's been on about 4 minutes. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. This is a small batch, so it doesn't have to go to 10 to 15 minutes. We don't want to break down that the gluten. So, but it looks really nice. I'm going to go about another minute or so. So let's talk about the 5 shapes. We're going to do I want to say, I call it a football shape. We're going to do an S shape. We're going to do Asian knot. We're going to do number 8 braid, and then we're going to do a Asian knot. Oh, a single knot. So those are the 5 shapes that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you. I'll do it slowly, so that way you'll see how they're done. I might be able to do a close-up on them, so you can see, or somehow we'll see what we're going to do with that. But just want to make sure you learn. So dough looks good. I'm going to turn this down, and so I'm going to add just a touch of oil, just to give you an idea of how nice when you do that. Turn this off. I want to change my gloves because I've been touching everything. So, just want to make sure everything is nice and clean and sanitized. Okay. We're going to take off our dough hook. Pull your bowl over here. So I want to show you the dough. See how easy it comes out of the bowl? It has a little bit of oil on there. It'll come right off the dough hook. Very nice. So look how nice our dough is. So you'll get about the same amount, about a pound of dough, each of you. Let me put this over to the side here. So have my bowl here. Again, we're going to spray. Now it has oil on it, but we're still going to give it a nice light spray. I want to cover it with saran wrap. Okay, fold it down, and I'll put my name next to it. Now remember, you'll be getting your dough will be already mixed. I'll have it mixed for you already, and have it go into the proofer. So then that way you can have it proofed and ready to go. So this is Chef Paradiso. Okay, so again, we're going to go double in size. So we're going to mark the bowl, and I will go and put this in the proofer, and I will see you in just a few minutes. Ciao.